Let's take a look at one of the more dramatic exits in late-night comedy. For the first time since his departure from NBC, Conan O'Brien spoke about leaving The Tonight Show on 60 Minutes last night. Now the Peacock network, his home for 17 years, questions about how that network handled the whole controversy and his departure. Peter Lauria, the senior correspondent for the Daily Beast, has been following this story. He joins me now right here in studio.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you. What did you think of Conan's interview last night? He was constrained very much in terms of what he could say.
Right.
But he definitely presented this as purely a business decision on NBC's part and had nothing to do with ability. He said it was the price of 2 contracts, and he had the smaller one. He was,
right.
It was cheaper for them to get rid of him.
Yeah, I certainly agree with that. I mean, I think last night, on balance, he came off very well. I mean, he seems to be trying to take the high road. He's the only guy in this entire situation that actually comes out looking good. You could see that he was trying to be diplomatic, but you could also tell that there is certainly a lot of anger and bitterness there. And I actually think when he turns back to the air, non-disparagement clause aside, it would do well for him to tap into that a little bit more. There seems to be this seeds of resentment towards the way NBC had treated him, and he's been, like I said, taking the high road, but he might want to explore that a little bit more when he gets back on air.
Well, he's been legally prohibited up until last evening from speaking to the press.
Right.
He won't be on air with TBS and this new show until November. How do you ride that wave? How do you keep public sentiment on your side for that long?
Well, that's going to be the hardest thing right now, is trying to stay in the conversation, stay in the public consciousness, and keep awareness up that he's going to be going to TBS.
Twitter can only take you so far.
Twitter
the
can only
roadshow
take you so far.
Right,
exactly. And you got to be certain that TBS will be doing a massive publicity and marketing campaign as the date gets closer. But that's going to be the hardest challenge for him, is remaining relevant over these next couple of months. This is a lifetime in television, 6-7 months.
He said, it certainly is. He said that he thinks anyone who disparages cable just doesn't get it right now. But what's interesting with this deal with TBS is also how this deal was structured. Tell me a little bit about the haircut on salary he took.
Right. Well, I reported for the Daily Beast that in his negotiations, he was being wooed by Fox, and basically a lot of people were looking to see if they could work out a deal with him. But his main concern, according to my sources, was basically he didn't want to be put in a situation where this was going to happen to him again. So he left some money on the table. There were some other offers that would have given him more upfront cash, but he left that on the table in order to get ownership of the show. This way, now what he says is final. He could take care of his staff, and he doesn't really have to answer to anybody.
So TBS would just be licensing it. He owns his own production.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly a partnership for sure, and you don't want to go into these things thinking, oh, it's going to go badly.
Right.
But certainly this experience has taught him that you want to protect on the downside.
Control is key.
Control
for him
is key,
this time around.
Right.
Tell me about the overhang for Jay Leno, because he spoke at the White House Correspondents' Dinner Saturday night, and even the president, sort of, not necessarily took a pot shot, but address the elephant in the room, which was you took a time slot, and public sentiment and your ratings are falling.
Right, and as well as I mean, Jay's got this this sort of reputation as being Mr. Nice Guy.
Right, and he comes off as anything but in that interview with Conan. Right,
exactly, and this is a guy who's been around. He does have sharp elbows. You don't make it in comedy for 40 years by being the nice company man. He's certainly trying to play that role, but I think people are starting to see that this is a war. Late night is a war, and
does this come at a cost to his brand or to NBC? Is there a cost there for them?
I don't know so much about Leno's brand, but certainly NBC's brand. They look really bad in this. They were talking about when they were making the shift how they're gonna reinvent television, reinvent the broadcast model, and then 6 months later, like Conan's wife said on the interview yesterday, they lost their nerve. They didn't make a commitment to him, and they certainly have a blemish on their record for this.
Do you expect to see Conan pop up in another interview anytime soon? Where does he go next?
Well, I certainly expect to see him, maybe not, next week or next month, but certainly as the date gets closer. I could see him going on Letterman. I could see him even going on Conan. These guys are friends. When it comes to the show,
wait, going on Leno?
No, Leno. Letterman or Stewart. Did I say Leno? I'm sorry. Certainly not.
I was going to say that would definitely
that would have been
hike the rating.
Yeah, certainly not Leno. But I can see him going on Jon Stewart or Leno, Letterman or Jimmy Kimmel or something like that.
Yeah,
definitely.
All right. Well, it's going to be an interesting thing to watch.
Oh, and certainly George Lopez will go on.
certainly there. All right, thanks so much, Peter
All right, thank
Lauria
you.
of the Daily Beast, and thank you for all your reporting there.